Réjean Ducharme, The Death of an Immense Ghost. I want to die vertically, head down and feet up, he wrote in 1965. But do we always choose his starting posture? There will be no excerpts from Tout, monde, parle or interviews elsewhere and here to illustrate the journey of one of the greatest writers that Quebec carried. This child has lived like a shadow, and it is on tiptoe that Réjean Ducharme has bowed his bow.
It was his editor, Gallimard, who confirmed the news. After he had so much haunted our streets on foot, by bicycle, in company or not with his dog, often collecting bits of scrap as materials for his sculptures, collages, Trophoux, which collectors tore away, his works will remain, as he has always wished it, the only real testimonies hanging on to his memory.
Claire Richard, his life partner for over 50 years, had fallen some time before him. Here they are now entwined somewhere, hopefully in a poetic dimension, swallowed by swallows. The Inconsolable Innocence. Curtain on a magisterial work, full of neologisms, centered on inconsolable innocence that refuses to abdicate in the face of adult corruption, with the tongue disconnected but out of the plunge towards the joral that Michel Tremblay had chosen during the same fertile in the 1960s, where they pushed and reinvented their society. About Réjean Ducharme, who injected a pint of modernity into the Quebec novel, everything will have been said, and his opposite in absentia, the myth having enshrined the man and the creator. The one whose address was known had been given the freedom of anonymity in a media universe that was a source of indiscretion.
The Ducharme case began with a refusal, that of the publisher Pierre Tissé, to publish his Réjean, erased, almost illegible. The writer then turned to Gallimard in Paris for his Avaler des Avels, published in 1966 at the age of 24, a novel that would move, dazzle, upset and help a whole youth to live, vying for conqueror. I am swallowed by the river too large, by the sky too high, by the too fragile flowers, by the too fearful butterflies, by the too beautiful face of my mother's side, little Berenice, her alter ego. Gallimard published his earlier novels, Réjean, with his heroine, who, like Berenice, wore a painful look on the world and the nose that sings, in which two young lovers in search of the absolute, would prefigure many other characters through his work, refusing to grow old. There was Boris Vian in his themes, Raymond Queneau in his language games.
Published in 1973, It's Winter by Force, adapted later to the theatre, offered more political accents, but always against a background of refusal to integrate. As much through Les Enfantins, that his novels of the decade 1990, David, Vesavoir, or Gros Marts, Ducharme, cantoned in the 20th century literary, will have made rhyme malaise to this purity of childhood to preserve at all costs. His theatre was just as much rebellion, from Ins Paris and Inattendu to Ha! Populated by eternal bruised youths who are the victims of the mediocrity of the world. To be or not to be. But Réjean Ducharme really exists. French and Quebecers wondered at the shadow that reaped the greatest laurels, the first Gilles Courbet, 3 Governor-General awards, the Prix Athénanès David, and so on. Over the years, some believed that Raymond Queneau precisely, name Catam, Hubert Aquin, even the actress Luce Gilbeau, hid under the pseudonym. But no. He was born in Les Naudières on the 12th of August, 1941 in a loving family, on siblings of 5 children. A daily father, Omer Ducharme. A mother, Nina Lavallee, of whom he will remain a very long time. As a child, he was already apart from others. His mother found him sad. His father noticed that he was reading and writing at night. Student struggling to give his dreams with discipline and group spirit, he studied in Joliet at Les Clercs de Saint-Viateur and 6 months at École Polytechnique de Montréal. Later, a boring office clerk job, a little sale of this and that, a brief stay in the Canadian Army that would have taken him to the Arctic. On-the-go trips across Canada, the United States and Mexico, a journey to Kerouac, were gateways to the world, before he decided to flee the social circus that celebrates his burning heritage today. "It's a human being, not an alien," said his friend and collaborator Robert Charlebois. Ducharme will have written about 40 songs for him, which comes to the factory, Tutan, Javo de l'amour. Through the words "Do you not go," he summed up his philosophy, wanting to change your life / falling asleep with boredom / after losing his time / nobody could have done otherwise.
Songs. The author of The Nose That Vote has also composed some also for Pauline Julien, whose timeless move will stay there.
This discreet writer was the screenwriter inspired by one of the leading films in Quebec cinema, Les Bons de Barras by Francis Mankiewicz, released in 1980, a ferocious, obsessive and poetic cry of a child for his mother in a closed universe. Stifling society mirror. Also of the beautiful memories of the same filmmaker, where the memory of the dead haunted the living. In addition to Charlebois and Francis Mankiewicz, he was a friend of the Gerald Godin / Pauline Julien couple. Lorraine Pintal, theatre woman Lorraine Pintal, who was to produce her plays at the TNM, novelist Micheline Lachance, future Governor-General Michael Jean and her spouse, essayist Jean-Daniel Lafond, a time his neighbours, but he always returned in his bubble, which has just burst and taking away so many of his secrets with him.